So Luis Diaz is on his way to Munich. He said goodbye to the entire Liverpool squad that are in Japan right now, and I want to hear your thoughts. How do you feel about Lucho, one of our most important players in the last 3.5 years, leaving Liverpool Football Club? I want to do something a little bit different. Here we're going to be more in this makeshift studio, but let me know if you prefer the type of longer form videos where I'm outside, or if you prefer like this where we just have a discussion like that. But anyways, guys, I do feel it's important for us to talk a bit about Luis Diaz because of how important of a player he was. To tell you my thoughts, at least, if I think this is a good deal from Liverpool, how much we'll miss him, and everything else. So, guys, the final fee ended up being around 65.6 million pounds that we sold him to Bayern Munich, which is around 75 million euros. Now, when you consider that he's turning 29 in January, and the fact that we bought him, apparently, if you include add-ons, it's around 43 million pounds that we paid to FC Porto when we bought him in January of 2022. I think this is a sign of a football club that's operating at an elite level behind the scenes. Why? We got him during the prime years of his career. We got him during the prime years. He delivered, and now I think it's a win-win situation because he's happy to be going to Munich, where it's a new adventure for him, where he is going to be a crucial player still, playing in Champions League football, but on a much higher salary. And on our side of things, we've made profit. He leaves in a good way, you know what I mean? And with that money, we can go all in for Alexander Isak. So all things considered, I know some Liverpool fans felt that maybe he should have stayed at least one more season because of especially how much he offers in different positions and the energy he brings. Like, last season, he played center forward for a while, and he did do very well there at moments, like that, hat trick he scored against Leverkusen. But considering these are major funds that could be used to sign Alexander Isak, I think if you say that to any Liverpool fan, you take it. You take it, and you're very excited by it. But I do understand some Liverpool fans that maybe don't quite see the vision because, some are saying we just spent a ton of money on Ugo Ekitike, who's a center forward, primarily a center forward. Why are we going all in and paying a British record fee for Alexander Isak when we just got Ugo Ekitike? But you just have to trust the process. Not just trust the process that Alexander Isak will be worth this record amount of money, because we're not the type of club, the way we're run, we're not the type of club that's just going to be throwing money around like Chelsea have been all these years. Now we're going to be very careful, and we would have been looking at Isak. Obviously, it's not like he's a hidden talent, but we would have had this in the back of our minds as an option for a while. We're not the type of club that just last minute, decide to go for something. Just like the Ugo Ekitike deal, I'm sure was on the table for us for a while. That's my personal opinion. And just because Isak could potentially become available this summer doesn't mean that we still didn't want Ekitike, right? Because we got that deal over the line. But like I said, I'm not worried about this whole thing of people saying, but how are we going to do with these two great strikers? Bros, we got to trust Anisla. He would not. He's a manager who has clear ideas. And that's one of the reasons why Florian Wirtz decided to come to Liverpool Football Club. Very clear ideas for his new signings as to how they're going to fit in, how much they're going to play, all of these details. He's an obsessive tactician, so he will have plans. And if he wants Ugo Ekitike and Alexander Isak in his team and believes he'll keep them happy because they're two ambitious players who could start for most big clubs around the world, then you got to trust it. You know what I mean? Because I personally think, tactically, we could look very different at moments this season. And I think this season we're going to be very unpredictable in the way that we play. But that's again, that's a good thing. It's a very good thing because we'll be a harder team to play against than last season. And last season we won the freaking Premier League and we just lost out on penalties to the Champions League winners. So we're in a very good place. But the way that I see our club being run right now kind of reminds me of the United teams back in the Sir Alex days that dominated, where they were ruthless with some decisions, and I think this Lucho transfer is a bit of that ruthlessness in terms of he's still a player who's at the top of his game, and he's a player that Slot really did like. It's well known that he sees him as one of the most important members of the team, and he's one of his most used attackers last season. But again, you still have a price on certain players. I do think there's a few players in our team that are priceless, like Mohamed Salah, like Virgil van Dijk. You don't replace them. But I do think with Diaz, we just had to be smart with it. When we saw there was this major interest in the market, we felt this was the right moment, because we're always kind of planning for the long term, but also, obviously for the present. But players like Hugo Ekitike can deliver in the present already because he showed last season how consistent he can be in the Bundesliga, helping Frankfurt get that Champions League spot. So he's proven it last season, that consistency. But when they are that younger age, within that younger age bracket, it means, that we're not just investing for the present, but also for the future. And I think a big part of why we also will go all in for Alexander Isak is because we know in 2 years' time, Mohamed Salah will likely leave. And that's a lot of goals that, you have to make up, and you don't want to have to do that, from one moment to the other. As in, like, the day, Salah leaves in 2 years' time, let's say, for us to have to scramble at ideas as to how we'll replace him in terms of his output, for goals. This is clearly us pre-planning that. Just like, the Georgi Mamardashvili transfer, many Liverpool fans were confused. Like, why are we signing this keeper when we have Kelleher? Why are we spending so much money on a backup keeper, this and that? But again, I really think this is us behind the scenes being extremely intelligent in the way that we recruit. And I think we saw Georgi Mamardashvili as an outstanding talent in the market, where even if Alisson is going to be here for a few more years, we couldn't pass up that opportunity. And the vision with him is to be the long-term replacement for Alisson. And as good as Kelleher is, they must have made the assessment that he's a very good number 2, but not a potential number 1 for the Liverpool they envision as being the best side in the world. They're ambitious. Look at the moves we're making. And they must believe Mamardashvili has the ceiling to become the number 1 for Liverpool and deliver. So, overall, I made a video the other day of just like being thankful in the position we're in. The more, again, I think about the business we're doing this summer, and you analyze the way that we've gone about the market and the decisions we've made, I just think it's brilliant how, as a Liverpool fan, I just get in my seat and freaking relax and trust the process, because there's a lot of football clubs not far away in Manchester either that are very badly run. And, we've had our down moments for sure, before the Jurgen days. But right now, we've got to cherish these moments. And whoever Liverpool Football Club wants to bring in this moment in time because of who's in charge, and whoever Liverpool Football Club wants to sell in this moment in time because of who's in charge, I will back it and not stress for a minute. Just trust the process and enjoy, because this isn't going to last forever. You know what I mean? In the history of football clubs, there's always ups and downs. Look, when United were so dominant during the moments when I was a child, I thought that would just continue. But the reality is there's always ups and downs. Just like City, I think once Pep Guardiola leaves, aren't going to be the same City. He's one of the greatest managers to ever grace the game. And when he leaves, there will definitely be a drop-off. No one can replace someone like that, or the characters that he had during that time. So, yeah, guys, let me know what you think of the Lucho transfer and just how you're feeling about our movements in the market, and what you think about, on this second channel, instead maybe filming a little bit more sit down like this rather than being outside where maybe it's a bit distracting and stuff. So let me know. But as always, thank you guys for the support, and I'll see you very, very soon. All the best. You'll never walk alone. Ciao, guys.